Good evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. We are winding down to the end of this format. I believe it's over next month around the 14th, and I just thought we should do an interesting video of 5 cards that could possibly get hit by the ban list. For right now, the 3 top decks that I am seeing are Madolche's, Bujin's, and Trap Trick's Artifact Hands. There are a couple of other contenders that I would love to address, but we're only going to go over 5. Now, when looking over at Bujin's, it's extremely hard to hit them, mainly because if you look at them on paper and even most of the time in games, they are a pretty balanced deck. They require a lot of setup. They require a lot of things to go in their favor for them to operate properly. They are also one of the easier decks to side against. Them being light and graveyard reliant does put a lot against them. But when looking at them, the only thing I would want to get rid of is their soft locks. Mainly because their soft locks would make Bujin's one of the most feared decks if everything else were to be hit. Just being able to prevent the opponent from destroying one of your cards once or multiple times during multiple turns and over the time of turns seems a little bit problematic for Bujin's. Other than that, I really couldn't find another single card to hit. So if we were to hit Bujin, I'd probably go with Bujingi Hare, mainly because this card sets up the soft lock that Bujin's love to go into with the first turn Yamato. And granted, this does not kill the soft lock because this card would go from 3 to 1, but it would definitely limit what they can do with it. They still have other plays to bring out Bujingi Hare, but they'll have to work a little harder to get their soft lock back again. I really don't think that this would completely affect Bujin's in a negative way, kind of like how Mermails over time lost certain cards that didn't necessarily hurt them. They're still a very, very playable deck now, but it slowed them down enough to be able to let other decks compete for the format. Next, we're going to be talking about both Fire and Ice Hand. Now, the biggest reason why I say that these cards are pretty prime targets of being hit is because, first and foremost, they're amazing, and secondly, they're extremely splashable. So when you look at the ban list, Konami wants to hit cards that promote cookie cutter decks, and both Fire Hand and Ice Hand promote cookie cutter decks in the form of Firefish Trap, or I'm sorry, why I keep calling it Firefish Trap Tricks Hands, Artifact Trap Tricks Hands, just any deck with hands, Madolche Hands. You throw hands in any deck, and it not only do you have dichotomy targets, you have a way to destroy masses of background. Now with Fire and Ice Hand, the hit would probably be undetermined, maybe to 1, maybe to 2 of each, but it's just to the amount of cookie cutter decks that are running around, and personally they're extremely good cards and still pretty easy to get over, but in the right settings, when you hit a lot of decks, they can dictate a format. I would definitely consider putting them down to 2, if not 1, which is under extreme consideration, just because of how well this card works with so many other cards, and you combo up with other cards, and then you make cookie cutter decks a deck that really doesn't net Konami any money, or it's just very hard to scope out. I'm not saying cookie cutter decks are actually bad for the meta, but I'm saying that they bring a substance that doesn't really require much skill when you're running a lot of cards that just do all the work for you. This is one of them. Next, if we were to continue to hit Artifacts, Trap Tricks Hands, another cookie cutter deck that really shouldn't exist, we would either hit Sanctum or Ignition. Now, I'm leaning more towards Sanctum because of this. Cards that special summon monsters from the deck are always a prime candidate for Konami to hit. If you guys look on the past list, for the exception of Mermails, cards that special summon from the deck always get hit first, and they typically get hit the hardest. In this case, Artifact Sanctum, being able to special summon an artifact monster from your deck, be able to use the monster's artifact, be able to use the artifact monster's effect, and who really cares about its limitations, because it's a trap card. You're going to activate it on your opponent's turn. You don't need to conduct your battle phase on your opponent's turn. Its next effect is pretty good. If this card's in your owner's possession, it's destroyed by an opponent's card. Target what card of the field destroy it. That's an amazing effect right there, but the first effect is the reason why this card is just so good. Being able to special summon an artifact from your deck on your opponent's turn, gain the artifact monster's effect, and then continue on from there. This is the enabler to the artifact aspect of artifact trap tricks hands. The next thing would be Ignition, but the only reason why I even put Ignition in here is because Konami loves to hit cards that search. For example, Tinky, Rhoda, and just so many more cards. Artifact Ignition not only destroys the spell or trap card, but it searches an artifact monster and places it face down for them to later on use. Now, granted, I feel like this card is a lot more balanced than Sanctum, but we could see a tandem of hits, maybe both of them in the two, just to slow the deck down. I believe that Artifact Sanctum at 1 completely kills the artifact deck, and Artifact Ignition at 1 terribly, it makes it just terrible. And still splashable. That's the only problem with it on top of that. But if you have a combination of both of these cards, maybe semi-limited or something, it might resist the players from playing artifact trap tricks hands or any type of cookie cutter deck that mixes artifacts in it. Next thing is a card that has been rising in popularity and possibly could make the list. Black Horn of Heaven has a lot of qualities that make it so great. First and foremost, Black Horn of Heavens can only negate monsters special summoned not by an effect. For the example, Synchro summons, Exceed summons, the special summon of Cyber Dragon, Master Hyperion, Black Luster Soldier, cards like that. It cannot negate a card that special summons another card. So Monster Reborn, Call It 100, Black Horn of Heaven cannot negate these type of cards. But that's okay, because most monsters special summon nowadays in this game are through Synchro or Exceed. Sometimes those big monster drops from your hand are also prevalent in this meta, but most of the time it's Synchros and Exceeds. Well, this card's coming really, really close to being a solemn warning. And in that sense, this card definitely would need some type of limitation to prevent players from solemn warning the opponent, because it almost has that effect. Being able to stop some of the opponent's pivotal monsters have always been a great thing in this game, but also something that definitely needs to watch. For example, Solemn Judgment at 3 was a highly underlooked card, just like Black Horn of Heaven. The time came where Solemn Judgment was at 3, and the opponent would summon vast loads of monsters to the field and then just deny all of your opponent's monsters. Well, nowadays in this meta, monsters or cards are more reliant on monster effects than anything else. Spells and traps normally draw cards, sometimes destroy back row, but more often than not, they can't really necessarily address Black Horn of Heaven. Now, granted, we do have Wiretap, and I think that helps balance Black Horn of Heaven out just a little bit, but a nice address to Black Horn of Heaven, maybe just a 2 to prevent people from playing it, or even 1 to completely say that summon negations without being able to stop them unless you run a specific type card are pretty bad for this game. Regardless, Black Horn of Heaven is definitely on the list, or on the list to be hit at some point in time. Last would be Madolche Angelly, the Enabler. There's no other card in Madolche's that you could possibly think of hitting, well, other than Ticket, I guess. But then they only run 1 ticket, so unless you ban Ticket, there is no card that you could think about hitting other than Madolche Angelly. If Madolche's become the contention deck, the #1 deck of all time, and no other deck can beat it, that type of tier status, then Madolche Angelly would definitely be on the targeted list to hit it. Why? Because this card gives this deck so much consistency, it's insane. This card makes the deck. Without Angelly, Madolche would still be that little kid running around the street asking for ice cream. Now, Madolche's are the ice cream truck, and they have just about everything else, or everything in it, to satisfy that kid's need. The deck is extremely good. I believe it's still, even still, as a contender deck, the winner of the last 2 ARGs, a very underrated deck. And if you guys want to buy some, I definitely still have them. Just message me. I have a whole core, blah, 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 a little promoting on the TheCaliEffect. What did I just do? Okay, sure, bigger picture Angelly, that's fine. But this would be the problem, mainly because not only does it put a monster in the graveyard for Who Cake, it brings out Who Cake itself. So it's not much of a job to do other than summon Angelly and then continue to special summon from there. This card enables so many more plays and is seldomly dead. Nothing else needs to be said about this card. If Madolche's were to ever get hit, Angelly would definitely be that problem card. Thank you guys for watching another segment of the Cali Effect. Please let me know, what 5 cards do you feel should be hit on the list? Please leave the butthurt aside. And also, I would like an explanation of why you think this card should be hit to the list. Like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. Oh, I forgot. I can't. Yeah, F10 doesn't work anymore. I hate F10.